We're back. Judd'z Budz episode. Oh, god damn it. 146. I think it's blurry. There we go. 146. Is Chisholm 47?
Yeah.
Is he? All right. Gretzky plus Chisholm. As always, your host, Spokesy, joined by good buddy, Mr. at State of Hoppy. How we doing?
Doing all right. And if you ask Twitter, you won't need to remember that jersey number for much longer. So.
Oh, yeah. They're livid with him.
I mean, he's had some bad games, but let's calm down.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, and the absolute pizza that he served up the other night, that was one of the best I've ever. People were like, I tweeted the video because it was funny, and the fucking replies, like I had one guy like, get him off my fucking hockey team right now.
You can always count on
shit. I was like, oh fuck, I thought it was fun. I mean, who gives a shit? They were never winning that fucking game anyway, but that didn't help. But yeah, anyways, we'll talk about the Wild in a second here. But how are we doing? How was your week? How was your weekend?
At this point, the days all even blur together. I'm trying to even remember what this weekend was. Let's see.
Yeah.
Did I do anything this weekend? No.
Nice.
I don't think so.
That'll work. Well, I was literally just telling you before we started. Let me tell you, I also did not do anything this weekend. I had like the flu, I think. It was like the people that had like that flu episode early on in Parks and Rec. That was me.
That was gonna be my comparison. I was gonna say, is it Michael Jordan flu game or is it Chris Traeger flu game?
Oh, Traeger, dude, it was nuts. Like, I mean,
compromised.
Yeah, the past 72 hours of my life have been the funniest, most absurd, painful, but more funny. So this started Wednesday, actually. I got sick at the end of the workday. I was like, oh, I feel like shit. And then whatever, like felt like I had the fever, blah, blah, blah. Woke up fine Thursday, Friday. Friday, I get home from work and I feel it coming again, where I'm just like, oh, my body aches. I'm like sweating, but I'm also shivering. I'm like, God damn it. I guess I'm not sick anymore. Randomly fell asleep, like phone in hand, feet on the floor on my bed.
Mm-hmm.
And then was like, slept like that, out cold, unconscious until the morning. I was like, holy shit. And I like sat up and it hit me like a fucking train, dude. And I was just like, oh, I am sick. Oh, I am unwell. And like fell back asleep for a little bit. Every time I opened Twitter like 3 times this weekend. And like, I was getting chirped viciously every time I opened the fucking app. So I was like, what the fuck, man? This is bullshit. This sucks. Fuck you guys. But dude, I got up to go to the store just to get like fucking Motrin or anything and soup. I start walking. I think it was Saturday. I get around the corner of my apartment and I look at my phone. I had been walking for fucking 25 minutes. I was like, oh my God. And then I rounded the corner and my legs stopped working. It was just like, nope, you are not taking another fucking step. And I out loud was like, holy shit. And someone walked by me and goes, Jesus Christ. And I was like, not again. God damn it. Just like last week, I'm getting chirped again. And I had to come back here. I did make it to the store, which is 5 minutes that way. Made it less than halfway. Came back and like, I mean, going up the stairs to my apartment, I felt like I was fucking crawling. And like, I barely made it to my fucking bed. And my legs just gave out. I was like, and I went, fuck, door open. One of my roommates walked by and goes, you're right in there. And I was like, leave me alone. Close the door. And I had to fucking battle. It took me like 20 minutes to take my shoes off. And for the next 48 hours, I was in and out of consciousness. Like, I mean, like, to the point where I was like waking up and I was like 6 o'clock a.m. p.m. Also, what day? What day is it? I literally had no fucking idea what day it was, what time it was. The longest I was awake was whichever night they played the Sharks. I saw the first period. I saw the Marco goal, and just watching it, I was like out of breath. I was like,
you know what though? Kudos to you because you still got all the videos up. And that was going to be my only chirp. It's like, oh, shit, there were no videos on Sunday. And literally all I do is click download on those videos, and then I throw them over to the Blue Sky.
I got one. I got the Marco Rossi goal on Saturday. And then
that's right. You did stop after that because then I had to go find it from other people.
That was it. That's all I had. That's all I had in me. But dude, my cousin FaceTimed me at one point. Don't know if it was Saturday or Sunday. And I answered it. And what I was planning on saying, what was supposed to come out of my mouth was, "What's up, dude?" And I literally just went, "Ah!" And he audibly gasped and hung up. Didn't say anything else.
All I'm picturing with that is the Michael Scott for like the little clip he shows where he tried to make the like Blair Witch Trials video.
Yeah,
that's what I'm picturing.
Dude, that was going on. I tried to get up and make some soup, and my brain was just like, yeah, it's cooled off now. Charred the inside of my mouth. It was like boiling. I was just like, oh my God. Like, and this is just me by myself. Like, I mean, I am battling every second to stay alive. My dad texted me at one point, goes, "Yo, you alive?" Because I didn't answer 2 of his texts. And I just replied, "I'm not sure." I was like, I think I am, but I don't know. I can't say one way or the other, but I believe maybe. I don't really fucking know. And then I woke up this morning. Don't know how I remembered to set an alarm last night or when I set that alarm. I don't even remember doing it, but it went off. And then I was like, I probably lost like 10 pounds. And I like looked at the mirror. I was like, what?
You don't have 10 pounds to lose.
Well, I looked at the mirror this morning and oh my God, I again out loud looked at myself and go, what the fuck was that? It was like just, I needed like 30 minutes of absolute silence. And it was just like on a battlefield right after everything ends. And it's just the carnage is right in front of you. I was just sitting there like, oh my God, what a fucking insane, like 48, 72 hours. But I'm alive, I think. I think this is real. But I'll tell you what, though, waking up and not knowing if it's 6 or 7 a.m/p.m. or if it's Saturday or Sunday, what an experience. Holy shit.
When you wake up and are totally unaware of what time it is the biggest mindfuck ever. Like in college, I went for one of our spring breaks and just visited my really good buddy who went to school out in Hawaii. And like the jet lag is fucking real, both directions. And not to mention like very limited sleep, doing all the nonsense that they do down there. I get back. I think my flight landed like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. My mom comes, picks me up from the airport, go home. I get home probably like, 4:30-ish and go to bed at 5 o'clock. Like she gave me a little bit of food and I just like literally pancaked. I woke up the next day at 6 o'clock.
Dude, it's fucking
like I basically just slept for an entire day. Like I probably rolled over a couple times and was like awake, but like I literally was on and off sleeping for almost 24 hours. I'm pretty sure.
It's always nuts when you like literally like close your eyes and you wake up. I mean, like a day later, it is insane to just be like, I was just out cold. Like, I don't remember waking up at all. Like, I mean, I'm in the same position as I was fucking 2 days ago. It is something else.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Now we gotta address a couple of things here. So chat's already buzzing. First, gotta throw this out. Isha and I threw out a video. Apparently we're getting more subscribers to the channel, especially after Isha's World Junior stuff. Really just want everyone to go over there, comment. Like if you have zero interest in doing YouTube membership stuff, like tell us that. That's totally fine. We just want to get a gauge for like if people are going to keep on becoming members. If there's certain things that you guys do or don't want to get out of that, we have had the membership thing like toggled on for a while, and it just never did anything with it because we never really promoted it. And we've had beauties like Cosgrove and Vendetta who have been members for a long time, and now we want to give you guys something. So check out the video. We've got ideas. Give us your ideas and just let us know like if it's just a waste or if you don't care. Cosgrove also points out, Skull, we are all prepared to be very hurt today. Does need to be pointed out, though, that Elliot Friedman, anyone that's like followed Friedge knows that he is a Vikings fan, but he said the most Vikings comment ever. It's exactly how I feel most of the time. And that is, I'm just happy the Packers lost. I know the Vikings are going to break my heart at some point, but at least the Packers won't win either. That is the like state of existence as a Minnesota fan. Shirt to prove it. It's Frank's shirt.
Yeah, it's a good. I like that one.
But go Vikings. I don't expect them to actually like compete for the Super Bowl this year, but at least winning in the first round would be nice. So we'll see what happens there. Last thing here, we've got a little bit of a debate in the midst. People going back and forth in the chat about Cole's hot take. Soup is the worst food on the planet. What say you, Z?
I fucking love soup. I don't really know what the worst. I don't really have.
Is like cereal a soup?
Well, you said that's wild. That's like, is a hot dog a sandwich? No,
I think it's way more accurate though. Like cereal is basically a soup. It's just a cold soup.
That's making me feel very gross about cereal now. Thinking about the cold, but I still love soup. No, fuck off! Don't ruin both of these things for me. No, I don't think. I fucking love soup.
Okay, my stance on soup is pretty much there's three scenarios for soup. One of them is unfortunately the only soup that I like actually gravitate towards is the one that grosses a lot of people out. If I get Chinese food, I am having egg drop soup. I love it. Egg drop soup rocks. There's a lot of people that aren't a big fan of the consistency, whatever. Teach their own. I love egg drop soup, at least if it's a good Chinese place, which is usually a really shitty Chinese place that just has the best like hole in the wall food, but whatever. But otherwise, it's if I'm sick or if I am using it as a condiment. Like give me a tomato soup that I can dip a grilled cheese in. Give me a broccoli cheddar soup that I can dip my sandwich in. Like it, I love using soup as a dipping apparatus, or if I'm feeling sick, or if it's Chinese food, give me all of the egg drop soup you have. What's your go-to soup?
Oh, I like that it's versatile, dude. So sometimes I'll just add shit to chicken noodle soup. Like I'll throw. Look, I mean, I also fucking love.
So your chicken noodle.
Throw a little tortellini in there, though. Incredible.
See, there's a lot of people that go that route too. Like there's the tortellinis and shit. And that, like at what point does it become a pasta instead of a soup?
I mean, yeah, if it's like fucking, you're just like
is chicken Alfredo technically a soup if you've got like a lot of sauce on it? I don't know.
It's soupy, fucking, like.
For me, I am absolutely, and maybe it's like partially the Minnesotan in me, but chicken wild rice over chicken noodle every time.
Also good, yeah.
But I'm definitely, if I'm having a soup, it's like broccoli cheddar rocks.
Potato soup, gun-toting granny. Potato soup's real good too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cosgrove, the way I eat ice cream, it's absolutely a soup. When I was in high school, I would absolutely like let it melt and I would just goop it up and eat it. I was that kind of degenerate. And I will acknowledge that it's degenerate activity, but
it's one of the things where it's just like it's a gross looking process.
It looks disgusting.
Still tastes unfucking believable. Fucking, it doesn't matter. But the whole process to get there is kind of heinous. But at the same time, don't look at me.
I don't want to watch someone else eat a melted ice cream, but when it's mine, like, fuck you, it's mine. I don't care.
Fuck, suck my ass.
It's just like this is gonna be a really weird comparison, but like,
oh boy,
well, like dogs, right? If a dog licks you, if it's someone else's dog, you're not about it at all. If it's your dog, you don't care.
Yeah, I feel like
except for you, because you're weird and you're gonna say awful things to a dog and just sit there and let it lick you.
Yeah,
I can't go any deeper on that because I don't want this to be demonetized. So
that was a year ago. I was a different person.
Oh, you didn't have any chats this time.
Nope.
You expect me to believe that shit?
Listen,
we sold Cole. Cole's back. He's back. He likes soup again.
All right. Ice cream soup. Oh, that sounds fucking. See, it's weird.
Oh shit, Cosgrove's right. Isn't that how the guy from Always Sunny gained so much weight? Just let a gallon of ice cream melt on the counter and then chugged it. And that is absolutely what Rob McElhaney did. I forgot all about him saying that. And the best part, when he lost the weight again, it was purely workout based, slightly diet based, and his claim to fame is like, oh yeah, I only drank tequila.
He is like,
so did you stop drinking like when you had to lose all the weight? Like, no, who does that?
No, I'm not insane. He is, especially given the whole multi-body transformation that he's gone through. Like, he is actually a specimen. He didn't just lose the weight; he got fucking ripped again, which is insane.
Actually, more ripped.
Significantly more ripped than he was.
Because once you're on that path and you got the momentum, you almost gotta go for it, right?
I wouldn't even be able to put myself through the pain of getting to the fat point. Like how fat he was able to fucking.
Yeah, you're not capable of that kind of dedication. I think I could pull it off.
just fucking melt that ice cream, baby.
If it was like a challenge to like win $1 million, like, yeah, I could fucking get Mac fat easily.
Next time you go to the grocery store, you should walk over and be like, do you have any unfrozen ice cream not in the freezer? Do you have any next to the...
I saw the ice cream in the frozen section. I checked the refrigerated section. I didn't see any.
Did you is it next to the Dasani waters? Is it by any chance? Is it out with I'm just looking for some slop.
Dude, I'm somehow worried that this is a reference from Isha that like the Calgary Dome foams. Have you not heard of that?
No.
If you go to a Calgary Flames game, and granted, maybe it's changed since because I know they made renovations or whatever, but Isha will tell you that he would go there like in his college days when he could drink. He would have 2 beers and he would be absolutely annihilated because there's like something in the like water line that gets into the beer, and like it's like some folklore in Calgary that the beers are laced with something.
Have I never? I mean, TD Gart, like it is craft beer. Craft beer, dude. It's fucking nut. I don't know what it is, but you have 2, and you're like, holy fucking Jesus! Like it is.
Cole is right. We are 21 minutes in here, and
this is why
we talked about you being sick and the various applications of soup.
I mean, this right here is exactly why.
Subscribe, 5 stars. You guys know what to do. You know what to do.
The OG, most of the OG listeners have eventually been like, "Fuck these guys."
Isha's gonna find a way to throw up a poll on YouTube for us right now. But throw in the comments, what are your score predictions for tonight? Isha, for the poll, you can make it Vikings dominate, Vikings get dominated, Vikings win close, Vikings lose close. Those are our options. Isha, you're gonna have to message Cole how to become a member, because honestly, that's still a mystery to me. But apparently we have like 14 now. So that's why we need to start giving something back to the members. And we will. Just want to hear from you guys on how. Again, check out the video linked. All right. How do we proceed? Quick, because we are going to primarily focus today on the Iowa Wild. We haven't really given them a ton of attention this year. Partially due to performance, partially due to other priorities for the podcast. But let's talk a little Minnesota Wild just in the meantime, which I gotta ask you, Z, is it a little, and we say this out of love, I'm not taking shots or anything. Our boy Micheletti comes out after the Vegas loss and like shows the Wild's record against playoff teams in the West. It's like, I know you saw a stat and you want to throw it out there and be excited. The Wild have dealt with quite the injury bug of late. And earlier in the year, I'm with you, Micheletti. Like, we were not beating the West playoff contenders, and it's a problem. But to say that after the Vegas game, where, like, for a lot of the game, it was competitive, and we are without some pretty substantial players, that's like, Isha, you didn't bite your tongue. You replied right away. Shut up. Had to bite my tongue. Shut your mouth. But,
as I was yelling.
So, I am with you, Micheletti, 100%, that was a problem. But to bring it up after this Vegas loss, I think is a little knee-jerk, unnecessary, reactionary, get people to comment, whatever. But, I don't know. Are you concerned in general? Let's take the Vegas game out of it, Z. Do you think that the Wild are in a position where they can beat any of the teams they're likely to match up with in a 7-game series?
So what you just said too is what makes this so interesting. It's like at the start of the year, yeah, like when they were mostly healthy, we were like, oh, they started off obviously incredibly well. They had a pretty decently easy start, mixed in a couple wins, good against like really good teams. And then like now as the schedule's really picked up, the injuries are comical. Like, I mean, another thing that we talk about every fucking season is if they can stay healthy, they could be a pretty good team. And they like, this is a new level of like, I mean, not just the quantity of injuries, but the different, like Zuccarello get hit in the nuts with a puck. Like, I mean, he missed some time with that. And just like a couple of defensemen deciding to like play goalie and like catch pucks. And then just some of the unlucky shit, and then like a brutal hit or the slew foot on Spurgeon. Like, it is like they are diversifying their portfolio of injuries, and it's actually
and the trickle down effect too, man. Insane. Like the Zuccarello nut blaster. Like, why do you think Carrill's struggling right now?
It's crazy.
Lingering effect there.
Yeah. I don't know. I still think like. And even last night, because I had to go back and watch as much of it as I could today throughout the day, because obviously I was dead this weekend, literally. But like
you're like first Jesus, period, dude, it was 3 days and you rose again.
Here I am. He has risen. But brutal. But like the first period against Vegas, like. They looked really good, especially the first like 10 minutes or so. I mean, they could have scored 3 or 4 goals in that opening 10 minutes or so. And I mean, it's just over time, like the thing with those injuries is like more guys are playing more and more. They're getting more ice time that they probably shouldn't be getting. Like the third, poor Zach Bogosian. That was like, I watched the third period this afternoon of the Vegas game. Oh my God. Poor fucking, who's scoring goals at the same time?
Work was super busy today, by the way.
What?
Work was super busy today.
Yeah, it was. That might have not helped me. The fact that I had a third screen over here, I was like, oh my, is it a second fucking like penalty in the third period? Jesus Christ.
Not awesome.
I still think though, like the fact that they're still in their last 10 games, what are they, 7-2-1? They're 6-3 without Kaprizov. Like the fact that they're still putting up wins, and this is such a weird, I still think this is such a weird year, like around the league, where there's so few teams I would put in like that actual elite category. And like even in the Central, all the top teams that you've seen big bumps along the way. Like Winnipeg had a stretch there after their like insanely hot start. They went like 10 games where they were like under 500. Dallas has been weird. They're either like unbelievable or they've been terrible. And then Colorado's like a problem now that they're getting healthy and like the Shushkin's back and like they've in theory done things about their goaltending.
How many people declared them dead with the start of the season? We're just like, yeah, if these injuries last all year, sure, but it's gonna correct. It's gonna. And not to mention, we still don't know if it's gonna happen. But dude, if Landeskog comes back, like,
well, I mean, I would have a hard time putting any stock into like whether or not he would significantly. I mean, he hasn't played hockey.
He will be an upgrade from what their middle six is.
I guess they just. I
no
mean, he hasn't played hockey.
He's in like.
It's been like a year and a half, 2 years since he's actually played hockey. Like I don't know. So that's why I'm like, I don't know.
He's making a comeback.
Okay, he says he wants to.
Now we know if Landeskog like went to some Buddhist village and
I mean, maybe he took that picture of tapes. Maybe he was the one behind the camera.
He went and found Eric Bachman.
Oh God, but I would say they're good enough to compete and potentially win around, but they still need some they need more scoring from outside of like basically Marco. Oh, there you go. Flyer Voracek said it. But like the bottom six, like is essentially a black hole for offense at this point. I mean,
who do you want to face in the first round? Like who do we have the best chance of beating? That's a realistic matchup.
Weirdly, it's not the right answer most likely, but like just watching more and more Dallas this year, I still don't know what they are. Like I still can't get a grasp on because they've been so up and down, and like they've had a couple of games where they're blowing like 3-goal leads and shit. And I know it's like Dallas, which we have PTSD from, but like just historically, I mean, I was which series? Oh yeah, 2060 was sick. Like. That one was a ridiculous series. Like it's been just not fun to play them in the playoffs for the Minnesota Wild for like the last few times or whatever. But I still think right now I can't get a good gauge on whether or not like they're legit because I've seen them play some bad hockey. And like Ottinger, same thing. Like he's had a few games where he's like he looks like the Vezina level goalie, and then there's a couple where he's like he cannot stop a beach ball right now. So.
Safe to say that they are the highest ceiling, lowest floor of the teams. Like that's why you're willing to take them on, because if they're at their best, they are the best team in the division, possibly the West. But they're low. If we're taking injuries out of the equation, their low is lower than everyone else because their blue line is not what it's been the last couple of years. And Ottinger is shaky. He's either lights out or you're afraid. Like, yeah. I think Dallas fans would tell you the same. So I'm with you. And it's one of those things where it's kind of vanquishing the demons too, right? Like Wild aren't going on a Stanley Cup run this year. Let's be real. But it's like a light version of Washington having to beat Pittsburgh, after several years of the East semis, matching up with the Penguins, being the better team in the regular season and the Penguins just being their daddy. They finally beat them, and that was a big propelling point. Like, even if we only win in the first round against Dallas, like that alone does so much for the fan base, so much for the locker room, to position you that next year you're actually feeling good about yourselves and you're positioning to maybe make a little bit more of a run.
Yeah. And like, it's funny too, because it's like, just like saying that it feels sad. Like, it's like fuck round 2. Yeah. We're not even going to watch that fucking shit. They're going to get the shit kicked out. But if they win that first round, but I'm with you though. I agree. Like I'm just saying it's funny. Like the boss posting it that way is still like in my head very funny. Yeah. Where it's like this would be so much. Hang a banner, hang a fucking banner. Go full Nashville.
You know what? It's just as meaningful of a banner as the Kuiper one. So I'm in.
You know what? The team that can be actually pronounced as like beyond dead, unsuspectingly. Nashville is fucking horrific. That team.
What happens with them? Do they sell off, or do they just chalk this up as like, holy shit, like things couldn't have gone worse, we're just gonna figure it out in the offseason, run it back? Like, does Ryan O'Reilly get traded?
Well, that's what's crazy. It was like I saw Friedman put out.
Does he return to Minnesota?
That would be electric. It's like
he's already the best center
already meant to be
history. So
funny, dude.
That I told you the shirt I got, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But like it's crazy. Like Friedman put out that tweet. He was just like Nashville treating this situation like Oh my God, what comparison did he use? Where he's basically just be like, hey, you tell us if you want to go where you want to go, we'll make it happen. Which is like, holy fuck. Like, I never would have thought they would have been like this bad. I mean, I don't think anyone would have expected this level of just like, I mean, they are terrible. Like, they are so bad. It's like at no point have they improved. Like,
no, if you told me that they were like a fringe playoff team, I'd be like, sure, I can see a world where that's like.
And you're probably being like, oh, fuck, like a top dog getting them in the first round. Like, they've just like struggled all year, but like they make it into the playoffs. It's going to be like, that's not a team.
They're not.
Those guys aren't who I want to play. It is like, it's insane.
Well, and what's worse for them too, because they've got like some great players. I think one of them plays in Four Nations. And that's like the one thing that a lot of teams are looking at. If they got a guy that's like slumping a little bit and they need him to bounce back, like Four Nations, as much of a gimmick tournament as it is, that's a spot where a guy can find their game. Shit, Matt Boldy could go out there and refine some consistency and get back on his game. Like, we would love that. They literally have Forsberg. That's it. Name another guy on their team that's going to be playing in Four Nations. I don't think Saros, but he's also not the problem. So
it's like nothing's gone well. All that to say, like, I still think Minnesota's good enough. I mean, they've proved, like, with these injuries, they're just like stringing these wins that I don't really care about. Like, when they have half a lineup, they have like half a lineup. They literally have to sign a fifth goalie to league minimum to like for like cap space reasons. And all the injured reserves, like guys are getting on retroactive IR and shit. And the fact that like they're hitting the stretch now where they're playing the Colorado, the Vegas, like it's crazy. So like it's tough to like gauge how much of it is legit. But I mean, there is like again, like this the whole season though, it's been like there's been questions, but they still have a couple of big wins too.
Give me a scale of 1 to 10. Likelihood of Marc-Andre Fleury coming back.
I feel like at this point, it feels like a 50-50.
I would have said 6, yeah.
Because, like, he's been great.
But it's less about him.
Right. Well, the combination of, like, well, realistically, it's that and, like, the fact that Wallstedt's having such a down year. And now
Wallstedt down year, and Fleury does not want to stop playing.
Right. Has he said that he wants to play more?
No, but it's been hinted by Russo. Like, he came on with me and Joe a week or two ago and, like, basically said, like, we'll see. Like, he's not saying that Fleury's coming back or that Fleury's said anything, but as soon as Russo says, we'll see if he, like, actually hangs him up, that tells me that there's at least, like, something being tossed around behind the scenes, right? Like,
yeah, and I mean... And like the most obvious statement of all time, if he's like, hey, Billy, I kind of want to go another year, he's getting signed in 2 seconds. Like, I mean, it's like a no-brainer to bring him back again. Because, I mean, especially... But
what does that say? I mean, maybe this is the perfect transition then. Let's talk Iowa Wild. Dude, is Jesper Wallstedt going to be okay?
I think he's going to be fine, everybody. He is hurt, though.
Have you read Twitter? Have you read Twitter of late?
Oh, the shit that I've been sent. I have people sending me like old goals from like October. I'm like, I don't fucking care. Like, I mean, I don't care. I mean, this is like the first year that he's had in a long time, like even before he got drafted, where he's just like, it's been bad. And it sucks too, because like the last game he played in, but right before he got hurt, was not a good game for him. But the 2 before that, he was fucking lights out. He had his first shutout of the fucking year, and then he had like another. I think he gave up 1 goal. And he made like 34, 35 saves. So like he's had a few games in there where it's like, that's the Wallstedt that we've like become accustomed to or whatever. And like just since before I got drafted. But this is the first year it's been like mostly bad. And we'll see what it looks like after this injury too, because it doesn't sound like it's a great injury.
For the first like month and a half of the season, I'm totally willing to throw that out and like chalk it up to him being head fucked because Billy for sure had him convinced that he was going to be in Minnesota for the most part. I can deal with that for a young goalie who like had his mindset on something and gets buried down in Iowa. I can accept it. It's more concerning that he hasn't come around at any point, really. Like, he's had some okay spots, but I think long-term he's fine, but I can understand. Like, I can empathize with fans who are like, what is happening here?
Right.
Like, I get the concern. I do. I understand where you're coming from. I understand if you are worried and think like, oh my God, maybe this guy isn't the future. I don't think we're going to know that anytime soon. Like, probably getting through all of next season before we even have a serious conversation about that.
Yeah. And I mean, what you always say too, whenever we do the prospect shows, I always have Wallstedt 1, and like you either have him 2 or 3. You're like, hey, like goaltending's voodoo. You have no idea. So he's also 22 years old. Like, playing, by the way, in Iowa, which is not a goalie friendly place to play. Especially lately. Actually, realistically, like the last 3 years. And I mean, the year before he was an all-star. I think he was actually 2-time all-star, maybe. No, he was 2023 all-star, I think. I'm gonna pull it up again. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy too that he's the all-time wins leader in Iowa for a goalie. It's just like funny. I know they haven't been around, but it's like in my head, it's crazy. But it's just been, it's been a down year. Again, I understand people being like, yo, what's going on? But the second it's like, gotta trade him, I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? Like, all right, that's insane.
It's also different too when like, let's be real. No, but also Z, like let's take a step back, because usually I'm the one that says like, fans, chill the hell out. Like, you are overreacting to whatever. They don't watch Iowa. Like, it's not as easily accessible. It's not on TV. They just see the stats and they see other people talking about how bad he is. Like, I genuinely understand. I don't agree with you guys like dogging him, but like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, you're wrong to do it. Like, I get it. Like, if I'm high school me again, I'm probably sitting here burying Wallstedt saying we need to trade him for parts, whatever. Like, I get it.
You know what? You know what doesn't help? That contract that he's making. He's gonna make 2 sheets next year.
You know, good for him.
More than doubling his.
What did he sign a one-way?
I don't remember.
Because not only for the dollars, but that also complicates things if you call him up. He's stuck.
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing too. It's
that's another reason that if Fleury comes back, you're basically counting on Gustafsson being, or not Gustafsson, sorry. Wow. Wallstedt being in the minors all year. Like,
yeah, I think it's a 2-year one.
That'll be a big thing.
Or something.
That'll be a big thing.
Yeah, it's a one-way. So yeah, there you go. It's 1 way. It's just crazy. It's just like, oh boy.
That's like, I understand though, like general fan concern. It'd be different if like it was in the NHL and they're watching this like early 20s goalie and we're like, guys, goalies come along slower, chill out. They're just seeing the stats, seeing what's going on, thinking he should dominate the AHL like he has in the past. I get it. I do. I really understand. I just don't agree.
Right. People forget, first goalie in Minnesota Wild organization history to score a goal, by the way. He was the first ever.
Fleury's like, God damn it.
He's like, son of a bitch. Let me fight someone. Fine. Let me just fight someone at least. But yeah, I mean, again, like with him, it's been a bad go. And I mean, like, even when he mixes in one good game this year, it's been one of those things where it's like, all right, he's gonna, hopefully ride this, get a little momentum. Next 2 games, he's getting shelled. And I can't emphasize enough, not a goalie friendly environment down there at all. Especially given this year too, like with Minnesota's injuries, how many guys have been getting like called up whether or not they play, but they miss a game or 2 in Iowa. So it's
cool. Like, that's kind of key here, right? Like, Iowa is continuously going to be ragdolled by whatever the Minnesota Wild need.
Yeah. And I mean, they've also like, not just that, but like even Iowa themselves, they've also had crazy bad luck with injuries this year. Like it's a whole organizational thing where it's like they signed Dylan Ferguson He clears waivers because they needed to sign him because they needed another fucking goalie. And then the day that he cleared waivers, he gets hurt in that game and he was out. And it's fucking nuts. Like, it's like the injury issue has not just been in Minnesota, it's also been in Iowa, and it is crazy.
Yeah, that's fair. Shoot, someone had. I'm trying to look for the comment now. I think I lost it because I didn't tag it for some reason. But something about Ogren. I tagged one of them, but there's multiple, and now I'm trying to find it. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna. Something about Ogren having an NHL shot. I don't know where the heck it is.
I think it was.
Hey, look at that. God bless you, Mateo. Yeah. Brian Geary went to Iowa. Ogren has an NHL shot and will be a top 6 forward next season. We're going to follow that up with the fun one from, let's see here, from Ron. Why hasn't Liam Ogren replaced Johansson on the second line?
Yeah, well, first of all, Ogren's just been an absolute stud since it was like firmly like sent down there and like go play a lot of hockey, go play top 6 minutes, stay in Iowa instead of being called up here, playing maybe 4 minutes, maybe watching a game or two in the press box and then playing 3 minutes the next night. Since then, he has been on fire. He's got 10 and 10 now. At one point, he was looking like the Cy Young leader in the AHL. I think he had like 8 goals, 1 assist. He's really evened that out. He had 3 assists the other night in their like the one win they have in the last 10 games. Put up 3 apples in that one. But he's been fucking phenomenal. And I think he's playing like almost 20 minutes a night too as a forward, which is always good, obviously. But yeah, I think next year the easy plug-in is like put him in Johansson's spot. I would say like we still don't even know if he's ready for top 6 minutes right now. Like, I mean, we've seen flashes in the 3 games he played last year. I think they were playing like the Sharks and like some other dog shit teams like at the end of the year when it was like there's 5 games left in the season. So we don't know if he's like realistically ready for that full-time spot right now. And again, like Johansson, like the points have been like he had like what, like a good 10 game stretch. He was putting up points with like 8 of those 10. And then recently he's just been doing the thing where he like misses some wide open chances. But all in all, like I still think he's played relatively well this season. It's just obviously you want to see the fucking puck go in the net, which is always going to be like, all right, like where do we draw the line here? But yeah, he's been, but I think Ogren right now, yeah, probably safer to just let him cook in the AHL and come in the next year, like with that top 6 spot open.
So is it, someone asked this in the chat off of a video from last week on YouTube, and my response was basically, if there are enough injuries to like top 6 type guys that Ogren gets the call up and shows like you can't send him back down, that's really the only way that we see him this year. Like I want him finishing the year in Iowa, dominate down there, get some confidence, play the role you need to play. Because let's be real, the real reason he's not being called up, like you can say dollars, but it is deployment, right? They don't want to force him into a top 6 spot, especially when we don't have the cast that you'd want him playing with. It's not going to be as beneficial as everyone thinks.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like you said, like even if they weren't in this ridiculous injury / cap situation that they're in, like even so, if they had all the space in the world, they could like they had the freedom to like let guys go up and down. Right now, he's in a better spot than he would have been, like trying to get 4th line, 3rd line minutes, maybe. Like right, go let him play 18 to 20 in the A. He's gonna be on that first power play unit. He's their go-to goal scorer. Like, and I mean, he's also playing really good 2-way hockey too. Like he's all over the ice. So like I mean, it's just gonna be more growth in his game, letting him get all those top minutes and be on the ice in big time situations. So I think he's in the right spot right now. And then, we'll see what happens next season. Who stays, who goes. From
Flyer Voracek, does Stramel come out next year? Because that feels like a big part of Iowa's future next season. Flyer Voracek, my understanding, at least from the people I've talked to, there's a good chance he goes back to Michigan State next year. And I kind of hope he does. Not because he's not like ready for the jump or anything. He's had a couple of bad years, as you can see if you've ever searched his name on Twitter, X, the everything app. He finally found a place that he's comfortable and excelling. I want to see him take that back-to-back years and see how he can grow in one more season. I don't know if the Wild are going to try and force his hand and bring him out, but I would be reluctant to force him out of the first positive situation he's been in a handful of years. So I don't know, Z, do you think that he should be in Iowa next year?
I mean, I think it's a weird thing where it's like, if he says, no, I want to sign at that point, I'm not risking losing him for nothing, or like whatever, like getting like a fucking 5th round draft pick in a couple, like I don't want to do that. So if he says I'd rather come out and play in Iowa, I'm like, yep, that's just do that. Cause I mean, I do think at this point, like he's been so good. By the way, on Friday, he had another fucking 3 assist night. Like he's been a stud for Michigan State. He's their number 1 center. He's on the ice in all situations. Like he's playing really good 2-way hockey. Like we've seen a jump in playmaking, just the ice time and being on a really fucking good team, number 1 team in the country. Like he is flourishing and he is doing the things that like Minnesota drafted him for. Like he looks like that guy. And again, in the NHL, what's he going to be? Probably 3-4C, but like put up good minutes, has some offensive ability, plays really good 2-way hockey, and is a fucking physical menace on the ice. So like if he's comfortable at Michigan State, but like it's not a situation where it's like he's gonna go back and like, fuck them, they didn't want to like sign me after this year, I don't want to go to Minnesota, there's no path for me, because there's absolutely, I think, a path for that guy. Any NHL team would love to have like the mold of like a young center in Charlie Stramel. Forget the years at Wisconsin, forget all that shit. Right. Like he is like an NHL GM's dream of a play. Like he is a big kid that skates well. He's super fucking physical. He's mean. He's got some offensive ability. Plays really good 2-way hockey when he's on.
Dude, he's got that fuck you to his game.
Oh my god, that fucking hit that he threw when we saw him in Minnesota almost got tossed. Oh my god, and that was the thing. That kid that he fucking hammered. Also, the sound that hit made. I was like, oh. I was like, he's dead. He
fell out of his chair.
I still love Stramel. So
yeah,
all that again to say, if he says I want to go back to Michigan State because like this is the first year of like this is the first year he's had fun playing hockey in like 3 years since he was probably at the USNTDP. Like Wisconsin was miserable for him. And he's just been a stud. Michigan State's going to be nasty for a long time. Well, they are going to lose like 3 or 4 of their top.
They're going to lose some big names after this season.
Yeah.
Namely the goalie.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. I feel like I feel like they had a good recruiting class coming in though. I can't remember.
No, I'm sure they do, but it's still like you don't know how those players will turn out. Like they're good now because the guys that they're going to lose, and it's going to be really interesting. Like they could easily be back where they're at. It ain't a guarantee. Same for the Gophers. Like Gophers are going to compete. They're going to be a top 3 team in the Big Ten, no matter how things shake out next year. But like, depending on how many people leave, like there's a big gray area. Like the only guy that I can say confidently is leaving besides the guys that have aged out is Snuggerud. Like there's guys like, does it make sense for Rinzel to go? Does it make sense for Moore to go? Does it make sense? Like Brody Lamb is a guy that's being talked about too. Like, I just think there's a lot of guys that are like borderline, and it's going to come down to how hard the teams press to get them out. And I don't know what direction those are going to go. Mateo here, Guracek and Ogren were probably in the same boat as getting sent down for development. We just ran out of defensemen. I think it's a fair statement. What do you think about how Juracek has played in his few games up with Minnesota?
I think he's been awesome. Like, tough fucking games to come into. Like, you have half a lineup. You have Vegas one game, Colorado the other game. He was like one of the few like legit bright spots against Colorado. what he played like 16 minutes that night, wasn't on the ice for a goal against. He had his guy. But like you could see him too, like even offensively with the puck, he was clearly getting more and more comfortable, not just like game by game in those 3 games, but like shift by shift. I saw him making more confident plays with the puck, like not just like getting rid of it, but like that's his game when he's really going. Like he can be fun with the puck and with the fucking puck in the offensive zone. So like he's not afraid to fucking let it fly too from the point. Like he's got a bomb. But I mean, like, again, I saw the Colasar hit like today for the first time, and I wanted jail. But at the same time, it wasn't actually like wasn't like a fucking egregious like Zach LaRue fucking hit. But I've liked those 3 games that he's played so far. There's a lot of positives, and I think he clearly is like relieved to not be in the situation he was in Columbus, because I mean, I felt like the second those quotes came out last year about him wanting to not be in Cleveland, that just seemed like it was sour every day. But he looks really good. He's gotten really good in Iowa. The goal that he scored for Iowa right before he got called up was an absolute bomb shelf. It was so sick. But he looks good. I've liked what I've seen from him in the NHL so far, those 3 games.
For sure. And from Brian Geary, does Lambos get some ice? He seems close. What about Spacek in the future? Like, is he trade bait with William Cumming? Where does a Lambos and a Spacek stand in your eyes? And how have they played so far in Iowa?
So Lambos, again, we've talked about him a million times on here. It's like his role, not even just in Iowa, but like the last year when he was in Winnipeg. Was he there when they moved? No, I think he wasn't in, but I think he had already signed when they went to Wenatchee. He's played for the Winnipeg Ice. It was like the Kootenay Ice, the Winnipeg Ice, the Wenatchee Wild. It's fucking nuts. I can't remember if he was there. No, he left the last year Winnipeg. Okay, yeah. But like it was crazy. You watched his like highlights, especially like in his draft year. It's him like offense. He looks like fucking Cale Makar dancing the blue line.
What about him for Team Canada?
There you go. He's bust. After that shit. But like his last year in Winnipeg, and since he's been in Iowa, he is like utilized almost exclusively in a defenseman role. And again, like he's a phenomenal skater. He does defend very well. And like I would say the last few weeks, and I mean they talked about it when he did get the call up. Obviously, he didn't end up playing, but like he's playing the best that he's played in Iowa so far. In the 2 or 3 years he's been there. And again, like he's not putting up crazy points, but they're not asking to play like any offense. And even he himself was just like, yeah, at this point, like pretty much accepting the role and like just getting better with my defensive game, like decisions, when to stay, when to go, and then just making sure I'm making good first pass up the ice and like supporting that way for offense. Like he looks great. So like I wouldn't be shocked, especially with the way things are fucking going. If he wouldn't get like I was wondering if he would get a game when he did. I thought he was. I jinxed him obviously because I'm a fucking mush. But like I think he, especially at the end of the year, assuming they're still in a playoff spot, like I would like to see him get a couple games because like he's definitely earned a look this year. How good he's been. He's one of the few players that's not a dash down there. I think he's like a +3. One of the only guys that's like a +3 down there.
A +3 being a bright spot is concerning.
He plays a lot. He plays a lot with Spacek, and he just lets Spacek run. Like I mean, Spacek's just running around the ice, fucking like basically playing forward. And he's like, "Oh boy, okay, I'll hang out. I'll hang back here. You go. You do your thing." But Spacek looks good too, especially offensively. Obviously, like I talked about this before when they first drafted him. His skating fascinates me, where it's like sometimes he looks like a freak. Mobility wise, like keeping up with some of the fastest guys. It looks like fucking Brodeen defending McDavid. And then there's some
the fastest kid alive.
It's the fastest kid in the world. But then there's times where he's just like, it looks like me trying to go to fucking 7-Eleven to get Motrin the other day. Like his legs just are like, nope, we're done. We're done here. But again, we know the organization thinks really highly of Spacek. He's been good. I think he's got like 15, 16 points. obviously he's got the fucking cannon. We've seen him play really well at the World Juniors, so it's always another thing too where it's like, obviously in Iowa you don't play a ton of huge games, so there's not a lot of high pressure games down there because they've like flirted with the playoffs once the past like 4 years. But like we've seen him in big moments really like take over for Czechia. Again, it's just like whether or not we could replicate that like playing North American pro hockey. So a lot of good flashes from them though, again, especially offensively. And him and Lambos together, it's like it's a nice pair where like they feed off each other really well and complement each other really well.
Love that. Flyer Voracek, to kind of stem off of the question about Spacek potentially being trade bait. The enormous positive with the injuries is that Chisholm now has trade value if we want to flip him for forward help. When you look at the blue line as a whole, right? Got to factor in the propensity for injury that we have with some of the defensemen. You got to look at a guy like Buyam coming in, potentially a Jiricek or Lambos making the jump. Like, who do you see being the guys that are expendable, primed to be traded versus the guys that we have to keep here? And that can be NHL or AHL guys.
Well, I still think it's like a weird situation in Minnesota where it's like you've got the guys that you need to not make sure, like you can't, obviously you don't want to anyways, but like Brodin, Spurgeon, Faber, like you need to have them here. Chisholm's the one guy that like he's on that 1 year deal. Like we've seen really good flashes lately. It's been tough and we've seen like a lot of up and down, but like he is clearly an NHL defenseman that's got some value. He's got a nice contract. He's young. He's got some offensive ability. And then it's like Bogosian and Merrill where it's like, what do you got? I think obviously they love Bogosian. And like for the most part, when he's not asked to play 20 minutes a night, he actually has been like pretty good.
He's a very solid third pairing guy.
He's a 6'7", like perfectly fine. As long as he's not having to play a fucking 20 minutes. And then when he does play 20 minutes, Vegas happens. That game was insane.
But that's understanding the role, though. Like your point,
incredible.
To your point, understand the role. That's like taking a guy like Freddie Gaudreau, putting him on the first line and being like, oh, you're going to play him with these guys in this scenario for 20 minutes, and he's not going to put up a hat trick. Like, Bogosian shouldn't be playing that many minutes. He shouldn't be playing that important of minutes. Like it all is a trickle down effect if you have the guys in above him that should be, so that he can play his role.
Right. Yeah. So I get like, and that's why when I look at the D-core now, it's like you've got guys that like you're not going to move no matter what. Then you've got a couple that are like, what do you want? Like a fucking 2031 7th round pick. Yeah, you can have John Merrill. I feel bad saying that, but it's just like they're not moving that. Like he's not getting moved. And then it's like Chisholm's the one guy that you could see like having anything.
People like Merrill.
Yeah, that's true.
As a person,
like, honestly, like lately it's been bad, very bad. But like the first 25, he was fine. Like he was like yeah, like not the best 5 in the world, but like he's doing his job. He's fine. He's not like a huge problem or anything. It's just lately again with these minutes that are getting like as more and more minutes get tacked onto his ice time, it's been obviously a problem. Him and Bogosian. But Bogosian now he's fucking sniper, dude. He scored 2 games in a row, just rifling the puck. What game was it? I think it was last. Who were they playing? Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts now that I can't remember. But he was a fucking animal, and Bogosian was a beast in the third period, especially like closing out. I think he was on the ice for like 3 minutes, and he blocked 2 shots. He threw like 8 massive. Yeah, it was a St. Louis game. He was a fucking maniac. Especially last like 10 minutes, he was a beast. So it was a big night for him, but obviously those moments aren't exactly few and far between. But yeah. But oh yeah, I love that, by the way. Like when Middleton was like, yeah, prison rules, but we love that. I think that was him after I think it was the St. Louis game. He was like, yeah, prison rules out there, but like there's nothing we love more than playing prison rules.
Is there a guy in the NHL you'd rather grab a beer with than Jake Middleton?
I think he is like
the second that Kessel went into playing poker, the answer immediately became Jake Middleton.
Yeah. Like He's and it was the Colorado game. The fact that he was like, I mean, I was fucking dog shit. It was so funny. Like,
do you think he would have said that though if it wasn't against his brother? Like that's why he feels the need to like.
Well, no.
Be
the quote combined with like what's the hockey cards, the thing, or whatever. His fucking like player score was like -6.5. And it was like, oh my God. He wasn't wrong. He knew he was bad that night, but fuck that. He's so like every time I need him, whether they win, lose, whether he plays 2 minutes, whether he plays 25 minutes, he needs to be the guy doing the post-game presser. Like, or not even the presser, just like on the ice still or whatever, when they just like interview someone right after the game. I need it to be Jake Middleton every fucking game because it's incredible. I was fucking dog shit out there. So funny.
Yeah, what did he say? Really hope mom doesn't frame that one.
Yeah, that's a good memory for him or whatever.
Oh shit. And as a parent, you almost have to frame that one because you know Jake.
Now you have to.
Player, so you have to frame the game where they matched up and other brother came out ahead. Nope, that's good. All right, so I there's other guys that definitely warrant talking about, but let's go this route. Are we going to start with risers or fallers? Do we want to talk about the guys that you're like high on in Iowa or the guys that you're concerned with? Because we're going to cover both, and then we're getting the hell out of here because we got the Vikings here to disappoint us.
Love that. I mean, like for a riser, again, like he's been a riser probably all year, but like Hunter Haight still looks so good down there. He's got 9-9 now. Even like he hasn't really had a slump, really. Like he's hasn't really gone. He's like one of the few guys that hasn't gone like 4 or 5 games where like not only is he not putting up points, but he just like is invisible. Like he's noticeable every game.
So position this though for the fans that don't watch the Iowa Wild, right? Based on how he's played, how do you project him? Like where does he fit in an NHL lineup for the Minnesota Wild?
You're probably looking at like, I mean, realistically, talent-wise and ability, he's a high skill guy. Yeah, middle six wing. I don't think he's going to be a center at the NHL level. I mean, just especially given the size and how like light he is. And I mean, he's not afraid of contact, but I mean, he still is susceptible to get like he can in the NHL. He will probably, if he plays the middle of the ice, it's going to be tough. But I mean, even this year, still like even saying that, there have been a lot. He looked really good playing in between Ogren and Graham Clark. Like he's been really, really good pretty much every game. Like again, I haven't really had one viewing where I'm like, I forgot Haight was on the team. Like which can't really say that about many of fucking the guys at Iowa right now. He's just looked really good, and the fact that he's not just like scoring goals, he's like assisting, and I mean, he's there's plenty of points out there that he hasn't got just because like whatever, someone misses a tap and someone like whatever gets robbed. But if he gets bigger and stronger, like, or at least just stronger, like forget bigger, but like, yeah, you're looking at like a decent middle six, like decent scoring winger probably. Yeah, he's a righty 4x4.
Phrase onto the bit. He's a righty 4x4 NMC.
Billy G special baby. But him and Ogren.
Hang on, I need to ask people. Comment whether it's live here on this stream or after the fact. If you would buy a shirt or a hat that says 4x4 NMC, you need to let us know because we will make it in a heartbeat if we know the demand's out there for it.
Exactly. Dude, but him and Ogren playing together is so much fun. And
but that's
I mean,
the problem because they're not going to play together in the NHL because Ogren's already penned in with Goldie and Eck because you ordained it so the second he was drafted.
I'm not. It was the first. I was like, this is going to be beautiful. This is going to be amazing. But like watch them together, like play, and like this is like when we used to watch this. Obviously, like a step down, but like when Rossi and Boldy that one year were together down there, holy shit, they were unbelievable, and that's when they were like as a team, even though they weren't necessarily winning many games, they were putting up a ton of goals, and those two together were phenomenal. So much fun. But yeah, no, Hunter Haight's been really good all year, and like he's been consistent, which is like impressive. I was wondering what he would like, how he would adjust to the AHL, because I mean, like you saw so many shifts in the OHL where it was like, yeah, he's putting up some decent points. He plays pretty good two-way hockey for like a guy that's like known as like a really high-end offensive guy, but like a lot of his points are coming from like perimeter play or whatever. But like he is playing really well in the middle of the ice and like not having a problem. But if he can get bigger and stronger, yeah, he can play some shifts at center if you need him to, but like realistically, probably a scoring winger in the middle six.
Well, trust the Sota Pod here, Z. Mikey Milne has been fun.
He, again, another guy that's just been awesome all year long. I think he was on a bit of a cold streak as half of Iowa was like called up, ready to go or injured. But he looks good again. I think what's he got now? He's half a point per game, 15 points in 30 games. And again, like for an undersized guy, he is such a fucking prick to play against. And I say it every like the fact that he doesn't go a single shift without chirping half of the other team is so funny to me. Like he has the puck and he's yelling at people. I'm like, this guy fucking rules. And I really wish, but that the game that he got in Minnesota, I think he played like fucking 4 minutes. I'm like, come on, like a little bit more. Just like more than give him 5, maybe 6. But he just looks like a really good two-way bottom 6 winger. Like can give you a little bit of everything. Like again, like kind of like a Connor Dewar-esque player, but probably even more like mean and just nonstop chirping. I love Mikey Milne. He's so fun. Great fits too. Dresses are great.
Yes, and now that the trade was consummated to bring in one David Jiricek, we have Mikey Milne as the incumbent for best dressed because it was Damon Hunt like running away.
Oh yeah,
prior.
Everyone
that hasn't watched it, you got to go check the channel. Like, just go search Lambos superlatives. Carson Lambos with Joe Smith and I went through superlatives for all the Iowa Wild players last season, and it was actually pretty funny. He literally calls himself homeless. So I'm a Lambos guy through and through. I love him. All right. Talked about some of the guys that we're happy about. Is there anyone that you're worried about? Or you're making a weird face like I should stop because there's someone else you're really excited about?
Well, there was one of the other guys that started. It was not. It looked. I think he had like no. I think he maybe had 1 point the first 10 games, maybe. But Caden Bankier has turned it on right now too. Like he's looked.
I
really
love
good.
that guy.
He's got plenty of points. I think he's got points in like 6 of his last 7 games. I want to say.
If we had to rank the Iowa guys for like who just loves the boys, loves going to the rink, is a hockey guy through and through, Caden Bankier is getting like 3 of the top 5 picks.
Oh yeah, he
rocks.
He is.
He's
so funny, dude.
Tell me,
he's like, he's the guy that has a smile on his face 24/7.
3 years from now, 2 of these 3 players will be our bottom 6 centers, and those names are Caden Bankier, Charlie Stramel, Murat Huznadinov. Are those 3 battling for the bottom 6 center positions? 3 years from now, again, roughly project out, whatever.
I mean, I would. Huznadinov is penciled in, but both Stramel and Bankier can play on the wing too. Like that's the thing. Like Bankier's played just as much wing as center. So like that's the and same thing with
how
like
those 3-year-old line.
That would be fun. Like,
I'd sign up for it.
Stramel, the fucking maniac. Bankier, big, goofy, half a maniac sometimes. And Huznadinov just like laughing because he wins a face-off and people are cheering for him. But the thing with Bankier too, especially like lately, given with like now that we've seen him like finally take off as far as like putting up points that he was putting up before, like he's playing with Toporowski a lot now, and that's what he played with him in Kamloops for that when Toporowski got traded to Kamloops.
Yep.
So he's been playing with him a lot, and they look really good together. Toporowski is fascinating to me. Like, was a beast in the WHL as an overager, or not even like the year before that. And then he didn't get drafted, and then his last year, the dub, he went off with Kamloops. Then he goes and played like he get Boston signed him, ripped apart Providence, like was just a sniper. Like he could score goals. It's just like he might be one of those guys that's just like a permanent tweener or whatever. Because like I mean, he plays fucking phenomenal when he's on. But him and Bankier together, looking like their old WHL line, it's been really fun. They used to play a lot with like Stankoven too. It was very fun to watch.
Yeah, we asked him about him. He's like, yeah, that guy's just different.
Yeah, yeah.
It was literally a 1 minute clip of him just being like, that guy fucking rocks.
He's the best, dude.
No, Bankier is probably the happiest interview we've had, and Hunter Haight's the only one that I thought was like eyeing me up, like I'm gonna fucking beat the shit out of you, dude. I'm better than you. I know it.
Oh, yeah,
compliment. That's not a dig. I'm just like he
as
was
he
the
should.
most, like, confident guy for sure. Whereas Riley Haight was like the most like humbly confident.
Yeah,
like he didn't want to come out and say it, but like you could read subtextually. All right, so talk about. Give me anywhere from 1 to 3 guys that you expected more from, or that have just fallen off, or something's changed with their game, whatever. Like, who are 3 guys that we need to watch and we're really hoping have a better second half?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the common one that you hear all the time is a guy like Ryan O'Rourke. I still have a soft spot for this kid because, like, I mean, watching him in the OHL was so much fun. I mean, he was putting up like 70 points, 135 penalty minutes. Like, he was playing 30 minutes a night. Like, he was doing literally everything for Sault Ste. Marie, not just when they were like one of the best OHL teams that we've ever seen, but like even when they were like just terrible. He was their captain and everything like that. He has been asked to play some of the toughest fucking AHL minutes I've ever seen. And it is like, he's another guy that plays a lot with, like, him and Lambos both play a lot with spot check. And I mean, spot check is just running wild. But I mean, like, I would say O'Rourke is probably playing 23, 24, 25 minutes. And like 20 of those minutes are in the D zone on Iowa. And it's like, I always have a tough time gauging like what to take away from those minutes. Cause I mean, you still see plenty of times where he is just playing well, like defending hard. I mean, he's a fucking beast to play against too. He's strong. He's got decent size, but like it's just one of those situations where it's like the COVID year when there was no OHL hockey and he came up and played a full season in the AHL as a fucking 18-year-old. He was incredible. Like he looked fucking phenomenal. I think he played like 20, 30 games. And he was playing like as the like number 4, like didn't really need to be playing a whole lot of offense, but just looked like beyond fit in, like he was on their first PK unit. But again, like his points are never going to jump off the page, especially in Iowa. Like I don't think he might have a total of like 47 seconds on the power play, and that's when he like jumps over and there's like 3 seconds left, and it's like, all right, he's just accumulating those minutes where he's the first guy up after the power play ends. But I mean, I don't know. It's like you still, and like that's when I get like annoyed when I hear, I guess, like whatever, like when Russo and LaPanta talk about like Iowa, and like something like O'Rourke comes up and like he's just not been good. I'm like, come on. I know that you motherfuckers aren't watching Ryan O'Rourke every night. But I mean, again, like I would still like to see a little bit more, but I also just will always have a soft spot for that kid. And he is playing, I mean, just one of the tougher roles as like a top 4 D man in the AHL. Like it is, they are under siege. It is crazy. But I mean, again, you would probably still like to see a little bit more, even though he's not really given a whole lot of leeway offensively. And then another guy that I have questions about is like Jack Peart. Like he just hasn't really found a spot for himself. Like he hasn't really he plays like 21 games, 22, 23 games. Maybe 21. I think he has like 1 assist.
Swanee, Swimming, Slappy, Slippy, Swanson.
Anemone.
All right, that was a big pivot. I like it.
Yeah, big pivot. But I mean, it's just like I don't think he's really found. I think he's struggled to figure out like what his role is going to be playing pro hockey. And I've always like we've talked about that too with him, where it's just like St. Cloud year 1 was like some good as far as points go, playing for a St. Cloud as a true freshman. Then year 2, he was a beast. Year 3, it was like, I have no idea. Like it is all over the place. And then since then, like he signs, and I just think he hasn't really found or figured out what role he can really play in pro hockey. And again, not a fun place to do that in Iowa. That's my big underlying thing in Iowa. It's like, it is a tough spot to be fucking trying to develop. Like, when you have this many young D-men who are like, you're needing them in order for them to play like legit minutes, they're doing something completely opposite of like the player that they were drafted to be. You know what I mean? Like, they're just asked to be play such a different role than they historically have been playing. But it's like, it's not just one guy. It's like half of your decor. So it's like, it's tough. Like, that's why I never know how to really gauge those minutes for them.
So you're saying a veteran, like, guy that's probably traditionally more of like a 7 or 8 NHL defenseman, if he was in Iowa, that could really help this young group.
You could say that.
I don't have any specific names in mind for the Wild, but
well, like in years past, it's been like Turner Ottenbright, who was out there like beat the shit out of people. And it's like, okay, I guess it's like, who was it? Oh yeah. It's like the same thing. Like, the guys that they've had to pair up with those young demons, it's like, okay, I mean, it's the right idea, but that got like, it was like Beckman playing with fucking like Cody McLeod. It was like, he's like, he's an NHL, he's gonna give him space. Like, you don't put him on the ice to play any offense. Like, at no point is he gonna touch the fucking puck. Like, he's never touching the puck. Like, that's not what we're looking for here.
Yeah.
It's just been tough down there. Like, it's crazy. At one point, like, I remember there were a few games, especially last year, was like all six D-men that they had out there had been drafted in the last 3 years. And I was like, holy shit. Like, this is beyond the youth move. It's like, we have nothing else. Like, we're fuck it. Guys, fuck it. I don't know. Just go. And it was like, make it up as we go. So it's just a weird, it's the last 3 years, really. It's been tough to gauge, like, how, like, it's always tough to gauge, like, how much I should be taking away from some of their minutes. But those are two guys specifically I want to tell you.
Should the Wild be sending one of their young defensemen to bring in a guy like Aaron Ness, who is an AHL veteran, has played well everywhere he's been, and he is a Minnesota legend?
Yeah.
Do you even know who that is?
Yeah, I hope. Is he not?
He's been a lot of places.
I know he was in Providence for a while. Or briefly. Who knows?
Time's a flat circle. I think Aaron Ness to the Iowa Wild would be fantastic.
Oh, is he in he's happy where he's been in Hershey for a while.
Yeah.
That's a great AHL spot. Holy fuck. They're just like, every year you're probably gonna win. And like, he's their captain right now too. Yeah. Okay.
That's why you trade for him.
Yeah. I mean, again, that mold of
like that, the Wild should also trade for Connor McDavid. I'm just saying.
For Iowa.
If Bill Guerin cared about the Wild, he would bring in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and not trade away Kaprizov in the process.
For Liam Ogren to play with in Iowa.
Ooh, I like that.
I would love to see Connor McDavid play one game in the AHL and just see what happens. Dude.
I just don't believe that he would try past the first period. It's like when I was in 8th grade,
12 points in the first period.
My Bantam team, we played up in a tournament up in War Road, and it was Oshie's last year of high school hockey, and we got to watch them play against Lake of the Woods. And he had a hat trick in the first period, and he didn't play the rest of the game. He got benched for scoring too much.
Calm down.
That was insane. And like, I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And I'm like, oh, did you give me a gopher? They're like, oh, not. I don't have good things to say.
He's not going to.
He went to the bad place.
Yeah, he went to the fighting zoo. But yeah, I think, is there anyone else I want to at least bring up? I think that does it realistically for guys that
does it realistically.
Iowa.
All right. Sweet. Well, next week, Minnesota Wild NHL bullshit per usual. But I think next week, Z, is probably our first rehashing of where we stand for the 2025 NHL draft. Assuming you don't pull a full Jesus Christ and die for 3 days and rise again.
Can't guarantee anything, though.
Never do.
Real quick, had to mention, though, Stevie Leskovar returned to the OHL after
He's just still here.
after being out since October 18th. First game back, I mean, he killed this kid in the first period. Brett didn't like it. He threw some attitude in the fucking chat when I sent the video. It was like, because I tweeted out like a devastating hit. The kid like died in midair. That wasn't the hit that got him in trouble, because that ended up being no penalty. But he came back in the third period, did it again, immediately got a 3-game suspension his first game back in the fucking OHL after being out since October 18th. He's a fucking menace. Like, it is unbelievable. But I just couldn't. I was like, oh my god, he's in the lineup, because every week I check. I have I keep my stats updated on my Google Doc of all the prospects and how they're doing. I'll tell you, I was so excited we got back in the lineup, and immediately 3-game sussy. It's like unfucking believable. This is incredible. Yeah, he's a beast. He's terrifying on the ice too. But in a good spot though. Kalen Parker looks fucking phenomenal for Calgary, like a beast. Ryder Ritchie's on a heater since he came back from injury too. I think he's gone 3 or 4 games maybe where he hasn't put up a point. Like, he has been unreal for Medicine Hat. Riley Height's doing his thing. And poor Chase Woodsky. He's had, I think, 5 or 6 games where Red Deer loses like 6-1, and he's second or third star of the game. Like, they've had losses where they'll lose by 7, and he's got like 52 saves. They're like, this fucking poor bastard. I think they've lost 8 in a row, and he plays every single game now. Like, they put a kid in for the first time in like a week, and he got pulled after like 8 minutes. It was insane. But that poor bastard, it's crazy. Like, the fact that his save percentage is in the 700s is impressive, but like, it was just unbelievable. Like, they'll lose by 5 and he'll be second star of the game as a goalie. It's insane. The poor fucking kid.
It's impressive.
But yeah, like, we can cut it there though.
End it.
But yeah.
Kill it. Gone.
See you next week, y'all.
That's it. That's what you're gonna end it on. See you next week.
Well, unless I die. Unless I die. Can't rule it out. I don't know, dude. Fucking let's play hockey. Go. I love hockey.
Let's play hockey.
Minnesota rocks. I love the Wild. Go Wild. Of course he has a fucking turtle.
Of course.